Hey everybody, how's it going? Dakota here, and it's time for a long overdue review. I mean, long overdue in general, just because I haven't been on the channel in a while, but it's time to review the new Harry Styles solo record, his self-titled debut. I think everyone now knows full and well who Harry Styles is, of One Direction fame, the now hiatus boy band pop group that came about around 2011 from the X Factor, but Harry has released his solo record, which of course I'm very excited about. You guys know that, seeing as how I'm a Directioner. And here are some thoughts that I have on his release. So initially, when I first listened to this, I got very excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like one of the best albums ever. This is fantastic. You know, well, as far as, you know, music that's being released this year goes, it's one of the best ever. But I was very overzealous, very excited. You know, and however, I thought, okay, I need to take more time, sit with this record so that I don't give a premature reaction to it, because I don't want to, you know, praise it and then, you know, once I actually analyze it, not be as good as I thought. But I have to say that my reaction and my feelings toward this record really haven't changed that much. On this album, Harry is displaying how he is, you know, one of the group's older souls, I guess you could say. At least that's the way it is now. I don't know how many of you follow him on Instagram, but remember a few years back when he screenshotted his phone when it was at 69% battery life. He screenshotted the 69 and posted it and put the caption, "ha ha." So not exactly an old soul then, but maybe now more so. But throughout the duration of this record, we have clearly the influences of Harry Styles coming in. Now, let me say this. I've watched the Needle Drop's review of this album, and I think he was a little bit harsh on it. And I have to say his review was a little bit surprising. Well, it's surprising considering he enjoyed Sign of the Times, he enjoyed Sweet Creature, and then, you know, didn't really give the album the credit it's due, but who really takes Anthony Fantano seriously anymore. He hasn't put out a good review since late 2014 or so. So, like I said, on the album, you hear the influence throughout the whole thing. When the album starts off with Meet Me in the Hallway, we're getting something that sounds very much influence of, you know, the Zombies. And that is common throughout the whole record. Not necessarily Zombies, but late 60s through late 70s, British invasion rock, Britpop, and power pop. You know, definitely hearing influence throughout the thing. You know, Rolling Stones, John Lennon, Paul McCartney stuff, late era Beatles, as we did a little bit on the previous One Direction record. You know, what else? The Kinks. So the song, or the album starts off with Meet Me in the Hallway, really good, captures that mid to late 60s British feel very well. Then it goes into the big hit off this thing, Sign of the Times, which a lot of people are saying this is a Adele influence, but I just don't hear it. It just doesn't sound Adele to me. It sounds very Elton John, you know, maybe with a little bit more molasses in it, but definitely Elton John inspired, at least to me. Maybe even some Freddie Mercury in there as well, but this song is like the only one on the album that doesn't really, I don't get any enjoyment out of it. It's the big hit, it's the one everyone likes, but it's honestly the most bland track on the album. It takes too long to get to the point, and the chords, I don't know, I'm just not feeling it at all. So, some other moments on this album that I really enjoy, because pretty much every song on this album is unique. That was something I kind of worried about with their solo stuff, is it sounding like One Direction tracks gone badly, or just everything would sound the same. That's kind of how Zayn's album was for me. It sounded very samey. However, on this album with Harry here, that's not the case. One of my favorite moments on this album is the second single that was released, Sweet Creature, which has so much Nick Drake influence in it. It's ridiculous. The guitar tones on this are absolutely amazing, and just his, you know, very subtly scratchy voice wailing out the chorus sounds amazing. Another moment on this album where it has a very Nick Drake influence is the closing track. It is called, hold on, I forgot here, From the Dining Table. That's the other one. But the acoustic stuff, the folksy acoustic stuff, I really appreciate. Two Ghosts on here, which a couple people have compared it to a country song. Not sure where that's coming from. There's really no resemblance of country music on this, but it does resemble that mid-70s kind of peace and love guitar pop. You know, people like America, and this especially reminds me of Bread. So just, I mean, you know, David Gates and Bread in their prime is what this sounds like to me. You know, this is very much like Baby I'ma Want You and It Don't Matter to Me kind of stuff we have here. And it's actually one of my favorite tracks on the album. Some really, you know, heartfelt and not overly sappy lyrics on this thing. Some more rockin' tracks on this thing. We have Carolina, we've got Only Angel, and we've got Kiwi. And of the three, definitely the weakest one of these three is Kiwi. First of all, the song title doesn't match up at all, which I'm not saying that it has to, but it is completely off base here. And the fact of Harry Styles singing about a baby mama over like these, you know, late 70s hard rock chords, I'm not really feeling this track, and it's But Only Angel isn't horrible. I wasn't really getting into it at first. I was just kind of on the fence, but then once the cowbell came in, that's what really did it for me. And the other song on here that I really appreciate is Woman. This is more rocky, a little bit more esoteric in the way that it sounds, not necessarily the lyrics. But I really dig it. I think he did a good job on this. I think the groove of it and the effects that are on his vocals give it a certain, you know, sexiness to it. And then, of course, the only other track really to mention here that's pretty decent is Ever Since New York, which he gave us a rendition of that on Saturday Night Live a couple months back, and he's getting his Tom Petty on in this track. There's a lot of nostalgia going on right now in music. I mean, and that's been the trend for the past few years. But here's the difference that I sense in Harry's music compared to the rest of people who are doing throwback sounds, at least in mainstream. I feel like this is genuine. I feel like he really listens to this era stuff. Like, he's really grown up on this. Even if you look at One Direction's song history, Harry has always tended to sound better on tracks that have more of the throwback 60s, 70s sound. Like I Want to Write You a Song, A Little Black Dress. These songs are ones that he has, you know, thrived on vocally. Not to say that he sounded bad on anything else, but those are the ones where he felt more at home. And I think this is the reason why, is because he was trying to kind of take a step in music of this, in this spectrum. But it feels genuine to me. I feel like other people who try to do the throwback sound are doing it because the producers want them to and because it's the popular thing. This just sounds like an album that he wanted to make. This comes off as very sincere, and if he wanted to be, you know, nostalgic and extremely, you know, chart climbing, then I think he would do more of the 80s, 90s thing, not, you know, 60s, you know, British rock, you know, the Nas and the Animals and stuff. Especially compared to the other music that's being put out by the 1D boys right now. I think his is, you know, possibly the top one. I think definitely in terms of, you know, creativeness, he's up there. I think Niall sounds just as good, but it's a little bit more of what you would expect from a former boy band member. However, this album is definitely not. But I can tell you that Harry and Niall, you know, especially with him putting out a full-length album of non-cliche boy band stuff, he's kicking the crap out of Liam and Zayn on this.
Oh shit, okay.
It's a really good album. I'm getting a lot of replay value out of this. This is probably going to be one of my favorite releases of the year, without a doubt. I look forward to more from him. However, I am curious to see as to where he'll go with this, if he wants to continue to stay successful commercially wise, or if he just wants to go more with this indie, folk, classic rock sound and just do music for his own personal reasoning. But either way, it's a very good record. I'm honestly feeling a B+ on this thing. Good job. Thank you, Harry, for giving me this. And yeah, that's all I have to say. If you guys want to see anything else reviewed, tell me what your thoughts on this Harry Styles album are, and that will be all for the time being.